Think positive.
Welcome, or welcome back to the GHOUL-AMBROSE podcast, G.A. for short. I'm your host, Prince. This is a space for inner work, self-improvement, self-discovery, mindset, accountability, integrity, reflection, and personal development. This podcast is built for growth, for honesty, and for becoming a better version of yourself one day at a time. New episodes drop every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today's episode is called Rest. Surrender is complex. Find it so hard to rest. There can be sleep, but is there rest in it? Is it that the surroundings don't feel safe? Are you not tired? Or do the worries of tomorrow already get to you? Rest isn't always what it looks like. Things can be quiet and still not feel calm. There can be no movement and still no release. Time can pass and nothing actually resets. So it starts to look like rest is happening, but it doesn't feel like it. That's where it gets confusing. Because if everything looks right on the outside, why doesn't it feel right internally? Even in quiet moments, the mind fills the space. It starts reaching. What's next? What needs to be handled? What hasn't been figured out yet? It doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's not, but it's constant. So even when nothing is happening externally, internally, something still is. And over time, that starts to feel normal. That's where surrender becomes difficult. Rest is physical. Surrender is internal. Surrender is letting go of control. And control feels safe. Even when it's exhausting. Even when it keeps everything running. It still feels safer than letting go. Control feels like action. Like something is being handled. Control turns into a habit. Always thinking ahead. Always preparing. Always trying to stay one step in front. Staying ahead starts to feel like protection. Like if everything is thought through, nothing can catch you off guard. But that state doesn't turn off. It follows into quiet moments. It shows up when things finally slow down. Letting go doesn't feel like relief at first. It feels like risk. Like if there's no thinking, no planning, no preparing, something might slip, something might fall apart. So instead of releasing, the mind tightens its grip. It holds on longer, goes deeper into thought, trying to secure something that isn't even happening yet. And slowly, rest turns into effort. Peace starts to feel like something that has to be earned, like something has to be completed first, handled first, figured out first, before rest is allowed. Maybe if more gets done during the day, rest would come easier. Maybe moving more would tire everything out. Maybe being productive enough would make stillness feel deserved. But that doesn't help. It was never about energy. It was about the mind not letting go. Why does something meant to bring relief feel like a burden? Why does slowing down feel heavier than staying busy? In stillness, there's nothing to distract from what's underneath. No movement to hide behind. No noise to cover it up. Just everything that's been pushed aside, coming back. Thoughts that were delayed. Feelings that were ignored. Everything waiting for a quiet moment to be felt. Maybe there's no mystery to it. Maybe it's just protection. Trying to protect, even when there's no real harm present. Staying ready, even when nothing is happening. Holding tension, just in case something does. Preparing for outcomes that haven't even formed yet. So, even in moments that are supposed to feel calm, the mind stays alert, watching, waiting, scanning, looking for something to respond to, not because something is wrong, but because it learned to stay that way. Once something becomes learned, it doesn't just disappear. It continues. And that creates a space, not fully resting, not fully moving, just constantly thinking. And that space is exhausting. Energy is still being used, just mentally, thought after thought, loop after loop, with no real pause in between. Always aware, always processing, always trying to stay in control, even over things that don't fully exist yet. And over time, that becomes normal, always on, even when there's no reason to be. So rest starts to feel heavy, and surrender starts to feel like a risk, because surrender requires trust. Trust that not everything needs attention right now. Trust that not everything needs to be solved immediately. And trust that things don't fall apart just because control loosens. That kind of trust is learned in small moments, choosing not to engage every thought, choosing not to follow every what if, choosing to pause without trying to fix something immediately, letting something sit without reacting to it. Not everything needs to be held at the same time, but when everything feels important, everything gets carried. That's where the heaviness comes from, not from doing too little, but from holding too much, carrying thoughts that don't need to be solved yet, holding tension that doesn't need to stay, keeping everything close, just in case it's needed. So maybe rest isn't something to chase. Maybe it's something to allow. Allowing it means putting things down, even for a moment, even if everything isn't figured out, even if the mind tries to pick it back up, and even if it feels unfamiliar. It will feel unfamiliar. Stillness will feel strange. Silence will feel loud. And surrender will feel like a loss before it feels like relief. But that doesn't make it wrong. It just means it's different. Rest isn't something to master. It's something to return to. Surrender isn't about losing control. It's about loosening the grip, just enough to breathe. Because rest and surrender, they're complex. So when it's time to rest, lights off. I hope you found something worth taking with you today. Maybe a new perspective, maybe a moment to pause and reflect. Thank you for being here and sharing this space with me. Your presence matters. If this resonated with you, share it with someone you care about, because growth spreads through connection. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself, stay grounded, and as always, be safe.